Firegirl Chapter 7. Well, that was fairly gross, said Jeff, hopping off the bus in front of me that afternoon. The new girl. He made a noise like throwing up. I thought of her face and felt my body go cold again. I wondered if I would ever forget what she looked like. Who'd want to be alive after that? Jeff added, shaking his head as we crossed the yard. The burns are all over her. Her hands are like claws, all bent up. Her fingers, gross. Her fingers are totally stuck together. And you see the way she sits, bent over like that? All day I had to look at her. She's bent over because her skin is all tight. Not like normal skin. It's all hard and crusty. Really? I said. I wondered if that was true. I should know. My mother tells me about people like her from the hospital. It's the worst. Her skin must have melted on her, which means the fire was really, really hot. She was probably this close to dying. We headed into the house and went to the basement. I just can't believe anybody could be alive after all that, I said. No kidding. The doctors probably kept her alive on tubes and stuff. I'd want to be dead. With a face like that. Oh. Ugh. We dropped into the couches and started flipping through the comics, one after another. I could remember just about every detail of her face. It was like something melted, like wax on a candle. And all those, I don't know, patches of skin? Flipping the pages but not reading, Jeff went on about her puffy arms and stringy hair and something he couldn't even bring himself to say, but just made noises about. I probably felt the same way he did, but it was starting to feel a little creepy talking out loud about her. I didn't want to hear it anymore. I found myself just blurting out the first thing I could think of. Yeah, well, she knows math, though. He turned and looked at me, his face all screwed up. Random much? What are you talking about? Math? No, I mean she blows Kayla totally away in math, I said. You can tell from that one answer she gave. So what was I talking about? Was I trying to sound all light and funny all of a sudden? He snorted. Who cares? I forced out a bit of chuckling sound and went on. But you know what is the worst thing? The worst thing is that you and me don't get to sit next to each other now. That's a real bummer. Mostly for you, though. You can't cheat off of me anymore. Uh-huh, what? Wait, said Jeff. I don't cheat. I never cheat. Hey, want to drive the Batmobile? Batmobile? Here it was again. That whole off-the-wall thing. He was already across the room, pulling the boxes off a stack of cartons in the corner and rummaging in the one under it. All right, this was better. It was more normal. I played along. Batmobile? What Batmobile? He pulled a radio-controlled model of Batman's black car from the carton. It had a lot of fins shooting off the back. A control box with toggle switches was attached to the car with a rubber band. He touched one of the toggles. It made a whirring sound, and he laughed. My stupid father got me this a couple Christmases ago, he said, going for the stairs. I can't believe the batteries still work. I hated to hear him call his father that. Jeff was always mad whenever he talked about him. I started upstairs after him. Cool, can I drive it? Let's set it on fire and burn it up. It'll get all drippy like her. I felt as if someone had just poured ice water on me. Burn it? What do you mean, burn it? Jeff flew up the stairs 2 at a time and through the kitchen. I followed, getting up to him just as a car banged into the driveway. Your mother's home, I said. Better not burn anything. Jeff shrugged. She doesn't care. Hey, Mom, he said, passing his mother on his way to the patio door. How you doing? We're going out back. Mrs. Hicks stepped fully into the kitchen. She was wearing her light blue nurse's uniform. Now at the end of her shift, the uniform was pretty wrinkled, but not bloody. She didn't take any real notice of me standing there in the kitchen, setting her pocketbook down on the table She bent over to dig into it, her hair hanging down on both sides of her face. She sometimes works with burn people in her hospital in Bridgeport, I thought. I wonder if she knows anything about Jessica. Should I ask her? Suddenly she glanced up and caught me looking at her. I turned away and went to the back door where Jeff was waiting. Matches, she said sharply. Jeff, have you seen any matches? He shrugged and shook his head a little. Nah, he said, pushing out the door. Tom, let's go. We left her hunting through the cabinet drawers one by one. Once we were in the yard, Jeff dug his hand into his front pocket and pulled out a book of matches. You keep matches in your pocket? I said. Your mother was just looking for some. He shrugged again. It keeps her from smoking. Setting the car on the ground, he put a match between the matchbook, striking strip and the folded over cover, and whipped it out. Quickly, it snapped into flame. Jeff, I said. Watch this, he said. He held the match under the car's front bumper. A few seconds later, the black plastic went orange as the flame grabbed it. It boiled slowly up the hood to the windscreen. The smell of burning plastic filled my nose. I arched back from it. It's just like that girl, Jeff said carelessly. Enough already. What a jerk. Your mom's gonna get mad. Look, jumping up as the car's flame went high. He pushed the control toggles down hard. On fire, the car skidded across the patio and over the slate walk, singeing the grass as it wheeled and bounced across the yard. What's amazing is how long it can keep going on fire, he said, matter-of-factly, his thumbs working the levers. The car spun through the leaves, darkening some where it had slowed, but mostly just trailing smoke above and behind it. He swung it around toward us, then zigzagged it all over the walk and into the patio again. It bounced into the border of the edges of the stones. In the border, it was a small rock that had a word carved on it. Dream. The front passenger tire stuck on the rock. The car turned over and tumbled into the dirt, flames wrapping around it, curling from the top to its underside, then going higher and filling the air with an acrid black smoke. Ah, Jeff yelled in a mocking way. The Caped Crusader is trying to escape, but he can't. He melts in flames. Robin too. Yeah! He laughed and jumped around the smoke. The car was now completely in flames. As suddenly as he started, Jeff seemed to get bored. He dropped the control box on the patio stones. I couldn't stand to see the car on fire. It seemed stupid and a total waste. I turned around and picked up the garden hose, which was lying coiled on the edge of the patio. I sprayed the car. I am the spitter, helper of the dynamic duo, I said, doing some stupid accent that made it sound like the splitter. I made a kind of laughing and spraying sound, as if it could all be part of Jeff's little car-burning game. That's so lame. What are you doing that for Christ's sake? Jeff cursed, jerking the water off, and he kicked the car upright and cursed again. Stupid. I just stood there holding the dripping hose. Jeff, get in here, his mother said. Jeff! I smelled cigarette smoke coming from the kitchen. He turned to go into the house and then looked back. Hey, did you know that my dad owns some sort of copies of The Human Torch? I think he left them in the attic. Let's go find them. But your mom. Hey, did I ever tell you that my uncle's coming? He dashed into the house while the smell of hose water and burning plastic drifted up over the patio.